Hi, what's up? It's Kim here. I'm an engineer working full-time in Canada. I'm also in the midst of completing my master's in data science. I started this channel to document personal projects on interesting topics with a data science flavor. I have a couple videos explaining what data science is, as well as building a model on local real estate prices. Feel free to check them out. Today, we are talking about a topic that is very near and dear to me, and something I am quite passionate about: diversity and inclusion in the workplace, and specifically in the executive ranks for Canadian listed companies. This is taken from Osler's website regarding reporting changes for executives as of January 2020. As of January 1st, 2020, Canada became the first jurisdiction in the world to require the disclosure of diversity beyond gender. Currently, all federally incorporated public companies in Canada must report on their policies and practices relating to board of directors and senior management. And going a step further, they must include the percentage of people in those roles who are women, Aboriginal persons, members of visible minorities, and persons with disabilities. This is a very important and passionate topic for me. The most impactful stories can be told with hard data, and there is so much potential to tell the story through visualizations that can hopefully make an impact to understanding the numbers. I'm a believer in that as a society, we can achieve what we measure, and this very much applies to diversity and inclusion as well. While this may still be a sensitive topic to some, the stigma in talking about it is breaking down even today, and thankfully it's becoming more and more accessible to talk about. So, without further ado, let's jump right in. What I did specifically in this project was to explore the gender breakdown of executives in these companies, as well as apply an ethnicity classification. Major thanks to Namsor for providing me with an increased limit on their API. To explore the gender statistics, this wasn't very difficult in getting the data to begin with, thankfully. The executive listing from the financial modeling prep site listed gender with each name. However, it didn't list whether they were visible minorities. This will change after 2020, of course, with the reporting changes that I described above. So instead of building and struggling through my own ethnicity classification, I tapped into this service, which has been listed as one of the most accurate ethnicity classifiers based on names that currently exist. This site provides classifications for organizations such as INSEAD, CHEG, UC Davis, etc. This project was done in Jupyter Notebooks, where I wrote some Python code to pull information from a financial data API for TSX-listed companies. And then running through the list of companies, I then pulled information on key executives from the API. The first task was to retrieve data from the Financial Modeling Prep API and build out a list of TSX-listed companies. The data from the API outputs into JSON data, so I decoded the data into a dictionary object here and then put the data into a pandas data frame. Now that we have a list of companies, I am pulling the key executive information from each company with the API. This will give me a table with all the executives for each company, their names, position, pay, gender, etc. The third step is to manipulate, merge, combine, and clean the data. Cleaning the data takes up most of the time. I find it relates to the 80-20 rule, where 80% of the effort goes into this task, but 80% of the value also comes out of this, because you can build some really cool visualizations out of this going forward. What I did here was to combine the tables of information with executives for each company with the symbol and names of all TSX listed companies. The final data frame will have a summary of all companies, their respective executives, information about these executives, their gender, as well as the sector and industry that these companies are in for later exploration. You'll notice that ethnicity is not classified here. So this is where I'll apply the machine learning portion of it later by using Namsor's ethnicity classification API. What I did here was to combine the tables of information with executives for each company with the symbol and names of all TSX listed companies. The final data frame will have a summary of all companies, their respective executives, information about them, gender, as well as the sector and industry that they are in for later exploration. You'll notice that ethnicity is not classified here. So this is where I'll apply the machine learning portion of it by using Namsor's ethnicity classification API. To apply the origin ethnicity classifier, a name split was needed to be performed first with the data. The criteria for the classifier API needed the first and last name input separately. So in this code, I initialized a list of full names and ran through a for loop in this API classifier, converting the JSON object and then proceeding to build a list of related ethnicities to the full name. The final table will show a full name and the top choice for classifying the ethnicity. The final step to this was building out a full comprehensive table and to merge this individual table with the mega final table to add ethnicity to the columns. I did this by doing an inner join on the full name column. I did a few steps here to clean and further refine the rows to take out any duplicates, and we end up with a final table that consisted of gender and ethnicity classifications. Next, we move on to what I found the most fun part, and it took the least amount of time once you set up your data. This is the visualization and exploratory part of the data. Here's a visualization across sectors and the count of male versus female executives. It looks like the highest counts of executives are in basic materials, energy, industrials, followed by financial services, consumer cyclical, and real estate. The top 3 sectors for female executive counts are in basic materials, financials, and industrials, followed by real estate. Taking basic materials, for example, this is the proportion or the count in comparison to each other. There are 172 females to 748 males. That's approximately 18%. In financials, there were 96 females compared to 347 males. That's approximately 21%. Looking at pay statistics between executives broken down by gender, the median pay of male executives was $586.46 thousand, whereas for females it was $483.5 thousand. Now I wanted to look at pay between the industries and sectors colored by gender. So just on a glance, it looks like the consumer cyclicals are on par between male and executive pay. Consumer, defensive, healthcare, and utilities have female executive median pay higher than male pay. Every other industry seems to have the female pay trailing behind male executives' pay. And we can zoom in here, for example, and look at real estate. So female median pay for executives is at $523.9 thousand, whereas for males it's at $609.4 thousand. This interactive plot shows the gender breakdown for titles in executive listings. The highest number of females are present in the president title, followed by VP, then director, and CFO. Looking at the president, for example, there are 438 females in this role versus 1,815 males with the president title. Or, for a VP title, 399 females versus 1,261. And looking in the director spot, 88 female directors versus 535 males in director titles. So on an off glance, it looks like there's still a long way to go, but it's interesting to see the stark numbers put out in a visualization like this. Now I wanted to get into the ethnicity classifications with outputs that were provided by the API and how they look like from a data visualization standpoint. There were 89 different ethnicity classifications drawn from this API. So this is a count plot showing these breakdowns and the counts associated per classification, colored by gender. From descending order, the top 10 for counts in male executives are British, French, Irish, German, Jewish, Italian, Chinese, Indian, Dutch, and Hispanic. For British names, looks like there's 1,029 males versus 262 females. For French, 384 males versus 97 females. For Irish, 353 males to 90 females, and so on. Here, I wanted to see if there were significant differences in pay. This is the ethnicity breakdown for executives in companies without the colored by gender breakdown. It follows very closely to what was shown in the first image, with British, French, Irish, Jewish, German, Italian names leading the front 6 for counts of executive names, followed by Chinese, Indian, Dutch, Hispanic, Polish, Swedish, and Portuguese. Here, I wanted to see if there were any significant differences in pay between classifications, in general and also colored by gender. There seems to be a range of median pays, starting at $350,000 to $650,000, with Chinese, Hungarian, Czech, Japanese, Ukrainian, Korean, Vietnamese ethnicities at under $400K for median pay. For Irish, British, Swedish, Jewish, Italian, French, Greek, German, Norwegian, and Indian names, these all seem to fall above the $550,000 for median pay. Here is the same information broken down and colored by gender. It can be seen that for most of the classifications, the female colored pay stats sit lower than males, especially among the French and Italian names. Interestingly enough, the Portuguese, Jewish, and Hispanic are slightly edged higher for female pay in terms of median pay compared to male. Now I wanted to look at it per sector and to see visually what the breakdown of visible minority ethnicity classifications exist in the sectors. The common theme that can be seen is that amongst most sectors, many British and Irish names are attributed to the highest numbers. German and Chinese then follow. Let's zoom in to the basic materials sector. So it looks like here there's 361 British names, followed by 110 Irish names, followed by 49 Chinese names, followed by 46 German names. We can achieve what we measure in diversity and inclusion representation goals, and in order to do that, we must see where we're currently at. These were the stark numbers that came out of my exploration and the visualizations that show the breakdown of representation in gender and minorities. As a disclaimer, this is a personal project and it doesn't show the full picture 100%. There's still a lot to be improved on and analyzed. This was done out of my own personal interest and wanting to see visually how the breakdown really looked like in Canada, and also with a focus on representation in the highest echelon of executive ranks for TSX-listed companies. I'm always aiming to keep improving and keep working on accuracy, as well as telling the story in a way that keeps factual integrity. I hope that was informative and as interesting to you as it was to me. Please feel free to leave some comments or questions down below. Thanks so much for watching, and see you again next time.